Hey guys, welcome to New Teacher PLC for the week of April 2nd. Thank you so much for being understanding about having to cancel Monday. I appreciate it. I wanted to make sure that I was able to get you guys the information though. So here is your PLC presented and shared with you virtually. So a couple things that we're going to be covering. Had some requests about discussion strategies. So I am going to share with you two cooperative learning strategies, quiz trade and talking chips. Both of them promote student interaction and one of them promotes discussion specifically. And then finally, with STAR testing week getting started next week, I wanted to share with you some tried and true STAR testing tips that I gathered from my own personal experience as well as from several other veteran teachers. So real quick before we get started, I wanted to remind you about your quiet signal. Hopefully you have this working smoothly in your class. Again, the goal is always silence in 5 seconds or less. If this is not working in your class yet, it is worth taking the time to practice and really mastering, especially as we start looking at next year. You want to have a quiet signal, and this is the hill that you want to die on. It's worth it. So just a reminder about quiet signals. All right, so let's get started. We're going to talk first about cooperative learning, a couple different structures that you can use for review, maybe for discussion. Our first one is called quiz trade. In this structure, students have cards that have a question and an answer on one side. And then the students walk around with their card, they quiz a partner, then they get quizzed by the partner. Then those two students trade cards and they repeat that process with somebody new. So these steps are laid out for you here. Step one, the teacher is going to tell the students to stand up, hand up, pair up. Basically, what that means is it's a way to have students pair up. The idea is you stand up out of your chair, raise your hand in the air, walk around, and then you high five the first person that you see who is also available and looking for a partner. Once you have students paired up, partner A will quiz partner B. Partner B will respond. Then partner A will give feedback to partner B. Then you switch roles. Once both partners have quizzed and answered, they're going to trade their cards and thank each other for their time. But this way, now the two partners are leaving the group with a different question and a different card. You repeat these steps 1 through 6, however many times can fit into a time limit. This would probably be good to be done 3 to 5 minutes long in a class period. Some management tips. You're going to want to model this with a student first before you get started. Do not participate in the structure. It's important that you're able to watch and monitor to make sure students are following expectations. A suggestion could be to have the students actually come up with the cards the day before. This takes the work off of you, so you're not having to create all the materials. The last tip would be not to have music for quiz trade as far as the movement is concerned, because their focus is on the discussion and students are moving at different times. You don't want to have any background noise that's distracting. Quiz trade practices some very specific social skills. You are probably going to have to teach the kids how to greet each other when they first see one another, and how to thank the other person for their thoughts and to say goodbye when they're finished. It also allows kids to practice taking turns, but again, that modeling with the student first is really important so that the students see how this interaction should go. We need to show them what it should look like. Don't assume that they know prior to starting. Second cooperative learning strategy are talking chips. This one is really about discussion. And talking chips are exactly what it sounds like. The students in the group place their talking chips in the center of the table as they share their ideas, and this ensures that everyone will contribute to the discussion. Basically, your steps, the teacher needs to come up with a topic and then provide think time. The think time is an especially crucial part of talking chips. Oftentimes, you have some kids who come up with ideas right off the bat, and then you have students who have to think for a little bit longer. Providing specific thinking time allows those kids who maybe are a little bit slower to process some time to come up with some thoughts that they can share with the group so that they feel like they are part of it. After that thinking time, any student can begin the discussion. They simply need to place one of their talking chips in the center of the table and then share their thoughts. Any other student can follow as long as they have a chip by placing their chip in the middle and then sharing their ideas. Once all the chips have been used from each of the students, they're going to pick their chips back up and then just continue with another round of discussion until time is called, determined by the teacher. Some management tips. Don't go out and think you have to buy a whole bunch of poker chips to do this. You can use pens, you can use scraps of paper, really anything that will mark the fact that I have shared my idea and here's my marker that goes in the middle. For your students, remind them they need to keep it brief. This is not their opportunity to share their monologue or dissertation about whatever your topic is. Good rule of thumb is as soon as you have to take a breath, your turn's over. Another idea would be to limit students to just one chip, because when we limit the students to one chip, then they have to really think about their idea and what they want to say. They're less likely to just throw out some half-formed thoughts. They're going to have more thoughtful communication. Social skills that Talking Chips works on, it's going to improve the communication skills, but specifically listening. Ideally, Talking Chips becomes more of a conversation and less of kids just throwing their idea one at a time. And if you notice that you've got the same student jumping in, you want to debrief with that student. What was something that one of your teammates said that you heard, making sure that they are listening to the group. All right, some STAR testing tips. Things that will help you run your class smoothly next week whenever you have students testing. Okay, so a couple of ideas. Starts off with arranging your room. You want to make sure that you plan a clear path to walk around because you will be walking circles around these students. So you want to have a clear path that you can move around in. You want to identify a few locations in the room where you can put a stool or a higher chair, and it gives you a place to perch to be able to still see the students, but also rest your feet, because 4 hours of walking does surprisingly get tiring. Make sure that your workspace that you set up for making the seating chart, for reviewing answer booklet numbers, whatever else it is you need to do, make sure that space is facing the students, no backs to our kids. Also, you're going to want to determine your seating chart in advance. You can use sticky notes to label the desks, but that way, if you know that two students don't need to sit next to each other, you can arrange that prior to them arriving that morning. Okay, other things, you want to make sure that you have Kleenex and hand sanitizer available. The kids go through a crazy amount of Kleenex, and you're going to want hand sanitizer at that point. Also, if you have tables in your class, you're going to need privacy dividers. Make sure to let myself or Michelle know ASAP if that's the case. You might want to check for squeaky doors. If your door is really squeaky, the kids all look up every single time a kid goes to the bathroom, and they go to the bathroom a lot during testing. So you might want to ask Ernie to come down and spray that with WD-40 to fix your door. Finally, bring snacks for yourself to eat. One teacher really insisted I put this on here, so you will want snacks. All right, during testing, a couple things to help students stay seated and to minimize communication. When students are raising their hands, have them use the number of fingers to indicate their needs. So for example, if they hold one finger up, that could mean they need to go to the restroom. 2 fingers could mean Kleenex, etc. Again, this just keeps the communication down so we don't have to talk. Another suggestion would be to have materials available for students that they can read whenever they finish. You can ask the ELAR teachers in your grade level if maybe they have some books you could borrow that kids might like. I always like comic books. Calvin and Hobbes was a huge hit, and I always gave that out to kids that needed something to do while they were waiting. All right, so you guys are awesome. I just wanted to let you know, and you know we got to always do a cheer whenever we're talking about cooperative learning. So this is the 8th grade boy cheer. What's up? All right, that's it. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I'll talk to y'all later.